Here we're going to tie a PMD pheasant tail. First thing we're going to do is just start our thread. Now we're going to tie in the tails, which I'm using here is a ginger pheasant tail, not your standard color in pheasant tail. The ginger is more of a lighter brown, almost a tan kind of color, and that's the color we want to imitate a PMD. So I trim out a clump of tail fibers, about 10 or so. Try to get those tips as even as I can. Once I've got them mostly even, I'm going to tie those in. I want them to be about half the length of the shank of the hook. So I just kind of measure it out and pinch it off. I'm going to wrap that thread back down the shank of the hook. Tails are a little long, so I just shorten them up. Take it all the way back to the bend. There we go. I can trim out the excess tail fibers. Now I'm going to take a piece of small or fine copper wire. This will be my rib. And I'm going to tie this in along the side of the fly. I'm going to take that all the way back to the tail. Once I get back there, I'm going to take some more of my pheasant tail fibers. I'm going to cut off another chunk of about 7 or 8 of them, and I'm going to trim off the tips. So I have a nice blunt spot to tie them into the fly. I just tie those in right by the tail, and then I take my thread forward. I'm going to stop about a third of the way from the eye. I'm going to take those pheasant tail fibers. I'm going to wrap them around the hook. I'm going to capture them. Trim out the excess. I'm going to take that copper wire and I'm going to counter wrap it the opposite way that I wrapped the pheasant tail. I can capture that. I can twirl it, spin it out of there. There we go. Now I'm going to take another clump of pheasant tail, about the same amount, 7, 8 so fibers. I'm going to trim off the tips once again. Now I'm going to tie these in right on top of the hook. I'm going to take those backwards. About a third of the way back from the eye. Now I'm ready for some dubbing. Now you can switch this dubbing color up a little bit depending on your liking. I like to use kind of an orangey-ish yellow color, like a rusty color. Some guys like to use pure yellow. It's kind of up to you and the color of the PMDs that are hatching near you. I build up just a bit of a thorax. Just kind of a round ball. I always make it a little bit bulkier than you think. That way when you pull the casing over, you still have a little bit of a hint of a thorax. There we go, and I pull that casing right over the top. I always like to put legs on my pheasant tails, so I do 2 quick turns, pull a fiber back, do 1 wrap, then I take another fiber on the other side here. These 2 have stuck together, there we go. And I do a couple wraps with that fiber. And then I can trim out the excess portion that's hanging off the front there. Clean it up. And then I can whip finish. And I trim those legs about a little bit longer than the thorax, just a hair longer. There we go. That is a PMD style pheasant tail.